Today on Locked On Phoenix Suns. It's over. We're done. Finally. But what comes next? That's what we'll focus on. Let's go.
You are Locked On Suns, your daily Phoenix Suns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Phoenix Suns. I'm Brendon Kleen, a staff writer at Awful Announcing and a credentialed Suns media member. Thank you for making Locked On Suns your first listen. Here to close out your weekend, maybe kick off your Monday. Don't forget, Locked On Suns, free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So click that follow or subscribe button. Do what thousands of other Suns fans have already done. Become an everydayer and get locked on to the Phoenix Suns right here each and every day. Today's episode of Locked On Suns is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. More from FanDuel later on in the show. We will also get to what the dominoes will be. What are the headlines to be watching for to give us clarity and maybe even just straight up news about the Suns starting Monday? But first, the Suns season is over. How we remember it. Joining me as always to answer that question from the wonderful West Valley, my fellow Suns credentialed media member. How are we feeling on this Sunday afternoon, Ben Garcia?
Sad because I thought this was going to be Brendon, you could have given me like a dozen scenarios of how the Suns season would have went Doctor Strange style. And I would have never picked this, man. I would have never thought they would have finished 10 games under 500. They would have been horrible to watch all year long. I would have bought that they were a 6 seed, 5 seed. I wouldn't even bought that they were a play-in team, man. So limping their way out. The only thing I could think of as I was watching this game and working out was, get used to this. This is what's going to look like next year. Whole lot of guys, younger guys, and some guys thrown in from a Kevin Durant trade. No Bradley Beal. I think Gambo's made it pretty clear that's not happening. And Booker, obviously not there, but normally leading this squad. So it felt like a get used to this, because at least for the short future, is what's going to look like.
Yeah, we're going to get into what we will remember this season by. But I have a question actually first. Who was this our last time watching?
Today, or do you mean like
today
from the whole team? I think there's a good chance this is Grayson's last time seeing him. I think he could get moved. I don't think Royce gets moved. Did Oso would be here. I don't know if they run the Bowl experience back again. And I'm a little concerned why Colin Gillespie hasn't gotten a contract yet.
Well, yeah. I mean, that once they weren't going to make the playoffs, that one became a little less urgent. He'll just be a free agent and restricted, and they can try to keep him. But Plumlee, Tyus, gone.
Yeah.
Bowl gone. Monte Morris, Damian Lee gone. Ty Washington gone. I would say Grayson is likely to be gone. So of everybody we saw Bridges today, Dunn, Oso, Gillespie, and Cody Martin. That might be it as far as who stays. We'll see.
Micic?
Jalen Bridges. Micic didn't even play today. He couldn't even crack in there with the.
Well, I'm just saying he is on the team. Did he see the floor twice the entire time with his Suns?
There were 2 or 3 in garbage time.
A Micic sighting. Right. Damian Lee, he'll be here next year.
Gone.
Yeah.
There's no reason to have a 30-plus-year-old guy in a roster spot if you're resetting.
I mean,
unless
I agree.
Unless he's like a really, really important culture guy like a James Johnson or Udonis Haslem or something, one of those dudes that sticks around just for that. But, all right, 36-46, missing the play-in. We knew that already as of Wednesday. But how will you remember this season? I know you just kind of said there that, you wouldn't have even believed that this outcome could have happened. But just in general, at the 30,000-foot level, Ben, what are you gonna walk away learning from this season, just as a Suns follower, as a basketball commentator person, as a fan, whatever perspective you want to take? What's the thing that this season really showed you or taught you?
Damn, was I wrong? I mean, for me, it was when the Suns got Bradley Beal. I remember exactly where I was. I was with my brothers, and I was like, They're winning the championship. Like, who's going to stop this team? I don't know of anyone. And it was sitting right in front of my face. Too small, too redundant, didn't work well together, injuries, and I just bypassed all of it. So aside from that, just me being wrong, like, I feel like this needs to continue to be said. This was the most disappointing, hard to watch Suns season of my lifetime. And people will say, you don't remember, 2013, 2014, 2015. Like, yes, I do. It was not as bad. It was almost like fun.
I mean, 17, 18, 19 were the bad ones.
Well, exactly. Any of those because there was a decade there where they were just awful outside of the very last year where they made the bubble and they were kind of fun towards the end. But that team, like this team, man, when the Suns were that bad, they had a couple of fun times in it that I can kind of remember. And I mean, expectations mean a lot. I didn't have any expectations for those teams. These ones were fairly high and they flamed out, man. Completely disappointing. Easily the worst Suns season of my life. What about you?
I think, yeah, it was the worst, just relative to expectations. I mean, I think it was just a real lesson in the fact that, I've been thinking a lot back to what Book said on Wednesday night, where he talked about himself going to those 2020, 2021 teams and what they had that this one doesn't. And if you just compare that, forget the finals, and I don't even, like, almost the outcome doesn't even fully matter to what I'm saying here. But it's been a lesson in the fact that teams can be way less than the sum of their parts. And like, maybe that sounds obvious when you just say the big three idea and how that flamed out and the constant kind of all-in nature and falling short. But I mean it, like, really literally. Like, there is so much more talent on this team overall than 36 wins.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
But, a little tweak to the style of play here, and Yusuf Nurkic flames out. Bad fit, and the point guard options just don't really work. Grayson Allen has a little bit of a slip. Royce O'Neal has a good shooting season, but doesn't really feel as effective as he was in Utah, let alone, what we maybe thought he could be here, given the chemistry with KD and all that stuff. And the floor raisers of effort that we thought with the rookies. Okay, well, even that can only take you so far. Like, when something just doesn't work, it really just makes everything look worse.
Yeah.
And I think, like, it was the most, like, egregious possible example you could find of that thing, of that dynamic.
I learned this a few years ago, but I hope every other Suns fan did too. A piece of advice is, if, like, when you're there, which is why it pisses me off anytime Mikal Bridges talks about, we kind of overlooked the Milwaukee Bucks. It's why when the Diamondbacks made the World Series, I had learned this lesson of, like, hey, you got to win it now because you don't know when you're going to be back. You have to take advantage of moments when you get the opportunity to do so, because you look back at that 2021 Suns team, every championship team gets a little lucky. The Suns did get a little lucky, but being healthy is part of that. They also had some of their injuries of their own. You have to take care of it when it happens. And then the second part to that would be, stop effing referencing this 2021 Suns finals team. Like, they were a ton of fun, but everyone seems to forget the part in 2022 where they completely defecated all over themselves in the second round. And it was clear something needed to change. And the very next season, they were a good team, but they kind of plateaued. The Suns needed to make changes with the roster. It's just clear, in my opinion, that they made the wrong changes, and sometimes that happens. But this annoyance of, like, should have just been patient, up 2-0 in the NBA Finals. Say what they blew it, like, just say that, and then say they made the wrong decisions, because they did. And I think those are clear in hindsight, and those kind of piss me off too.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't obviously think the same team would have been together. I only bring that team that year up to make the contrast that construction, because it did fit so well chemistry wise, as well as just the pieces on the court, was able to be better than the sum of its parts. This team is more talented than that team and has had more of a commitment in terms of assets and money and all the things you would want to see, and yet it underachieved relative to its talent. And I think that that's a real lesson to be taken, that those things just, no matter how much you really want it to be true, you don't get to overlook fit, chemistry, personalities, continuity, whatever you want to fill in the buzzword of these intangible things. Like, this season is the one everybody in all of sports should point to and say, hey, the 2025 Suns, there's your reason why you have to make sure that you're getting everything you can out of the off-court side of things.
You know, I would ask you this as well. Where do you think this Suns team ranks? This big three, this super team, like whatever, what seemed to be what it was when it was first assembled to what it is now. Where do you think this team ranks in most disappointing teams? Like Dwight Howard, Kobe Bryant, Nash were together. The Rockets teams from years ago. I mean, Brooklyn just a couple years ago. I mean, where are the Suns just when you list those teams? When you talk about some of the biggest disappointments?
Probably if you take it cumulatively with this year and last year, it would have to be pretty high. I mean, that could be a whole segment if we really wanted to. I hadn't really thought of it from that exact angle, but it's going to be on that unfortunate, infamous list, I think, if we look back in history of the ones that flamed out. Let's get to, though, the headlines, the news. What are we looking for come Monday when many of you are listening and watching this episode of the show? Could the Suns be making moves that quickly next? First, today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. Basketball and hockey postseasons are heating up, and there's no better way to turn your sports knowledge into real rewards than with Prize Picks, the easiest, most exciting way to play daily fantasy. With Prize Picks, you simply pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, 2 to 5, and you're in. You can even combine players across sports, basketball and hockey postseason, baseball regular season, and more for your chance to win up to 2,000 times your cash. Some of these are easy, but you just add them up together and you get the extra payout. So you could go, hey, I think something is telling me that Luka Doncic is probably going to score a lot of points, so I'm going to hit the more button on that one. Maybe you want to go with Connor McDavid, more than 1 goal. That's not going to happen every night, but you keep going for it. Eventually it's going to work out, and you watch the money roll in. It's that easy. It's just you versus those Prize Picks player projections. So download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after that first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. All right. Keeping the show rolling. I'm going to get a drink. We're just going to roll. Ben, you're also muted if you want to keep the show going.
I was going to say, I was like, do you need a second there? I was also going to compliment you with how much better you are at the ad reads than I am. Because I don't know if you watch the solo shows with me, but I was struggling through both of those. So I think it's great, everything that you just dealt with there for a second. I was about ready to jump in. The chemistry's finally getting there on the last day of the season.
We did it. All right. Yeah, I don't know what that was. I was outside watching a soccer game with my cousin in the morning, so maybe the allergy is just saying hello to me here. But all right. This is something that I always try to do as the season ends and we go into the NBA offseason, because it's always the sequence of events, right? Like, we can sit here and say, yes, Mike Budenholzer, okay, this freaking light. Mike Budenholzer is probably gone, and we can give our opinions on that, right? Like, it doesn't take a genius to say that. We've been saying it for weeks. We know Kevin Durant is likely to be heavily explored in a trade. Bradley Beal, you already mentioned at the top of the show. We know that James Jones' contract is expiring, and he very well could be replaced. That's all, like, right there. We know it. But I think that the thing is, what has to happen between now and those changes, right? So I think we can kind of just almost go one by one, but let's start with what I think could be the most abrupt, which is, do you think the Suns fire Bud immediately tomorrow? I mean, maybe by the time we post this Sunday afternoon, it's over. How quickly are you expecting this to happen, and what are you kind of looking for, Ben?
As you say that, I keep looking down, like, if I get a Shams notification that Budenholzer has just now been let go. I think that not only is Budenholzer going to get let go, I think it needs to be done swiftly. And I think you go back to comments by the players all year long, even maybe the one that Devin Booker said the other night, where I do think there needs to be some sort of type of urgency where Ishbia understands, takes the temperature in the room, and starts getting rid of guys left and right. I don't know, like other people, and we'll get to them in a second, if that's going to be the case, but I not only think that Budenholzer is going to get fired, I think it needs to happen. I think there needs to be a message sent to the fan base that is, hey, what happened this year isn't okay, and it can't happen again. So that's where I would say. But what about you?
Yeah, I always think back. I know you were saying like, is it about to drop? I think the last episode I did before Monty got fired was a whole episode about why it shouldn't happen. So that can definitely go that way. I don't think we're on the fence.
You were also
of
right,
that
by the way.
quite as much. Yeah, but I actually came around to it, and I think it probably was the right decision at the end of the day. But in this case, it is also, and we've been in agreement on that for a while. I think it's. So last year, the reason I kind of bring this up is like last year, I think it was pretty obvious from the way things unfolded with Frank Vogel that the Suns were waiting to make sure that they would be able to get a candidate who would be better, who they would actually see as an improvement at the coaching spot, right? I guess I'm gonna say here, I don't think they'll wait that long at this point. I think that they'll just move on from Bud and start interviewing people. I don't even think that they'll necessarily know who they're gonna like. They're not even gonna maybe have like a favorite candidate right away. I mean, maybe everybody always kind of does. You think you like one guy's resume better, but I don't think it'll be in the report we see online. The reporter who breaks that news immediately says such and so is expected to be the leading candidate to take over. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think it'll just be, he's gone. Let's figure it out. Is there anything that you think could happen to save him? Like, is there anything?
No, because I think the Vogel thing last year, what was going to save him, I advocated, by the way, that Vogel should not be fired. Kind of similar to you, which was I came around to it clearly. I mean, obviously when Bud showed up, because I thought it was going to help this team. But no, like this team, I think what has been shown is this team needs to start from scratch, find their own new Monty Williams, build a culture, and it's not going to happen overnight. This microwave success that we have grown accustomed to here in Phoenix, whether it's Bradley Beal, getting Mike Budenholzer, getting Kevin Durant, like it hasn't worked. So even when I see like crazy things like, oh, what about Cat? You could get him on this team. Like, no, this needs to be a slow cook with this team. And so getting rid of Bud, what saved Vogel last year is they were waiting for the right candidate and the right candidate showed up. There's no right candidate this year. Even keeping Bud here, no one is going to give them a handshake. Yeah, I'll take that job, because anyone that is interviewing for this job is going to be interviewing Mat Ishbia as much as they're interviewing that guy. So, yeah, man, it's got to be swift. I want to see it done quickly. I need to see that from the Suns organization.
Yeah, I mean, I think as long as they fire him, I'm a little less like I'm not going to be as they mean it more or less if they take their time, because here's the one thing that if we're wrong and it doesn't come out first thing Monday is the one way I could see that happening is that, well, who's hiring Bud's replacement?
Yeah.
Because the person that would be doing that might also be out of a job. That's James Jones. Mm-hmm. And so do you think that comes as soon as Monday? Do you think, I mean, I know that Gerald Bourguet has reported that Jones's contract is ending, but it still has to be, it's a decision. Yeah. It'll be news when it's not like they'll just say, oh, that guy, he's gone. What do you mean? You know, so,
also it's like, where's James Jones going to go if he's let go of here? It's not like he has other interviews lined up right away.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know, but what do you think, the timing is on that? Are they both hooked. Are we doing an episode this time tomorrow? And
episode? Listen, I don't know what your schedule looks like, but I was thinking as soon as when it comes down, we just go live and we just try to go live when we do it. But I think if we're just guessing, like even Monday's headlines, let's just guess Shams Charani's tweet. After 1 year in Phoenix, Mike Budenholzer is fired as the head coach of the Phoenix Suns. Also, James Jones has been informed he will not be back as the general manager of the team. The Suns now have a vacant opening at their head coach and GM spot. That's what I think.
What I'd like
we're
it
going
to
see on
say
Monday
is the end of that tweet to say Mat Ishbia is expected to conduct a wide-ranging search in hopes of landing an executive that he can give full basketball control to reset the foundation of the Suns in a new direction. That's what I'd like to see.
I don't think you're going to get those last 10 words. I hope it happens, but I don't know necessarily if he's going to go out and say that. But I do think this year when Mat Ishbia does his, post press conference, that for the love of God, I hope isn't the same as what we did last year. He's doing it on his own. And doesn't just, man, last year was kind of funny because he just threw James Jones up there. He was like, all right, here's James. Have fun.
Yeah.
I think
he can figure out what to say.
Yeah, no. So I agree with you that I just think I hope that that's the case, but I do think it will be one Shams Charania tweet that says, James Jones has also been informed he will not be back because you can't fire someone whose contract is up. I mean, I guess you could. I guess his contract is up technically like June 1st, but
however it's worded, it'll be a decision that's made.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So I think that's going to be the case on Monday.
Devin Booker had a comment on Friday night that Ben and I disagree about, and I think it's at least an entry point to talk about the rest of the roster and obviously where the Suns ultimately decide to go if Jones and Budenholzer are let go. So we'll talk through those comments next. First, today's show is brought to you by Wayfair. Spring is here, and that means it's home project season. Whether you're refreshing a room or tackling a full renovation, Wayfair is the best-kept secret for all things home improvement. From small updates like stylish cabinet hardware to major upgrades like new vanities, sinks, or outdoor lighting, Wayfair has quality products for every budget. I didn't know they had hardware like that. That's crazy. I only told you guys every so often when Wayfair is on the show that I've gotten a nice little living room armchair. It wasn't anything crazy, but it was just like, hey, we really need something on a budget because we don't need to sit there. It's just basically for when we got guests or whatever, or some family over or anything like that and watching TV. So Wayfair was clutch. They had exactly what we wanted. It wasn't too expensive, and it lasted for years until it just didn't match the rest of the furniture, and we sold it. But perfect for that kind of thing. You just need that one little piece. Wayfair usually has it. So get started now at wayfair.com. That's WAYFAR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home. Today's episode also brought to you by our friends at the FanDuel Sportsbook. The NBA playoffs are just about here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if that bet wins. Maybe you want to bet on the NBA play-in tournament. I know that feels like a little risky because they can go either way, but what do we got here? Sacramento Kings, that's a pretty easy one, minus 215. Favorites, I feel pretty good about that. The Mavs, AD doesn't even look like AD. So don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com, claim your $250 bonus bets today with that first $5 bet. Something about the ads makes my voice all screwed up.
That was part of the reason why I ended up going solo on Friday. It was like you were just needed a day off, whatever it was, exhaustion, and I just I'm a little upset that you didn't take that time to get better.
I tried, and now my lights aren't working. It's all going wrong for me over here. Okay, so Devin Booker was asked about Fan Appreciation Night on Friday. The season was out of reach. Season was over for all intents and purposes. They had been officially eliminated from the play-in, and yet he played on Friday night, and he was asked why. Here's what he said.
In front of those fans that I just spoke about, it took a real Suns fan to be in there tonight and still cheer with pride, and something I don't take lightly. You know, they've always showed love to me, so, you know, I pay the respects to the person. Either it was their first time or maybe their last time ever seeing me play.
All right, Ben. So briefly make the case, and then I'll respond.
All the case I'm going to make is the fire extinguishing that we're putting out on social media, whether it's from guys I like or guys that I maybe have a different opinion than I do. I don't think it's nothing. I think Devin Booker is a very calculated player.
Explain what you think he might have been saying.
My point is that I think this is Devin Booker's way of saying, I'm here, but also like ownership, front office, figure it out, get things done kind of swiftly. It's kind of the point that I was alluding to with Mike Budenholzer. One of the reasons why I think Mike Budenholzer is going to be fired on Friday is because of Devin Booker's comments about him over the past, couple of weeks up until now, where he's like, whether it's their first time seeing me play or potentially their last time seeing me play. I don't think him saying that is nothing. I think, yes, he's going to be here next year, but I think it's also just a very subtle poke of like, I'm here until I don't want to be anymore. And one, I think he's got every right to do that because he has given everything this franchise. And also, I do really respect that he played on Fan Appreciation Night. I thought that went a long way. But all I'm saying is like, I'm not going to just push it to the side like it's absolutely nothing, because it starts with something like this, and then it gets leaked to Shams that Booker does have a couple of destinations that he would be willing to go to. And so to act like it's nothing, I do think is like Bird Box blindfold over your eyes.
I think the problem that I have with that is that it's not like a TV show where we're trying to pick clues toward what's going to happen.
Okay.
If he was sending a message, it was on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So it can't just be that it's not nothing. If he's saying something, he's saying something.
Mm-hmm.
My side of it is he literally was just answering the question, and it's a fact that some of the people in that building will, because of their own life circumstances, I know it sounds like I'm being ridiculous, but like that's what he was answering about. There will be people who never see him play again. Like it's true. So if he was, you can't say it's not nothing, I'm just tucking it away, because if he made the choice to go out of his way in an unrelated answer to make a statement like that, then it's way beyond not nothing. It's a hell of a lot of something. So either he's being incredibly direct and being very challenging to the front office through the media like that, or it's literally he just kind of spoke in a way that could have been misconstrued on accident. But it can't be in the middle, because he's a person. He would have had to choose to say it. We don't get to hear him and then go, well, I think actually in hindsight, regardless of what he meant to say, it now means this. Because he has a brain. He would have had to think it.
Okay. Can I just ask you this? Do you understand why people like me read and see the quote and watch the quote of like, oh, I could see where they could get that from? Do you at least see that there?
Sure, but I just
going to say, well, then doesn't Booker see that? If Booker sees that, I think he's a very smart, calculated individual that would know right there.
Saying a sentence. He didn't write it down and go put it on a teleprompter, and somebody asked him a question and he's like, hold on, move your head. What did I preemptively decide 3 days ago to say here? He got asked a question and he responded to it. So yes, I can see where what you're saying, I'm not like, Bird Box or whatever comp you made. I obviously can like understand where you're coming from, but okay. I just think we're talking about a guy who would have been choosing to take a shot like that. We're not ascribing meaning after the fact like it's a book character and we're going, okay, I'm halfway through the book. Here's what I think this made up character's words that they just said in the book where the end of the book might be headed, and they're going to actually, oh, they were the one who stole the painting. You know what I mean? It's like he's a person in real time choosing to, like, he's saying something. I know I'm being convoluted, but like I just feel like you're kind of removing, like, it's not a human being. It's like just a clip we saw, and we're just like playing 20 questions with it.
Well, I do think Booker.
Because my question to you here instead of just debating it, my question to you would be, what do you think he would have accomplished by saying that then, if it was premeditated, which it would have had to be, that he didn't already accomplish with all the stuff that you and I spent 2 episodes talking about on Wednesday, where he was very, very transparent on, I want to make this point. I'm being very open. I want to be vocal with management. I want to rebuild a culture. I want to not skip steps. I want to this, that, and the third. He gave it all to us. So then 2 days later, he's like, and let me throw one little other one in there. For what? Tell me for what?
Hold the feet to the fire of ownership.
They haven't had a chance to do anything since he last spoke, because the season's still going on.
Booker,
so what would he accomplish by going at it again?
Booker is pushing 30 years old. He knows, like, technically, like, starting now, as of next year, he's on the back 9 of his career. Now he's probably on hole 10. There's a lot more of the game left. My point is, he knows he doesn't have a ton of prime years left. I do think this is his way of gently holding the feet to the fire, because him saying that, him hearing it, and him knowing damn good and well, being best friends with Kevin Durant, how the media runs with everything, I do think if Booker wanted to put the fire out, he could have done it right there, and he didn't. It doesn't mean he's not going to be here next year. In fact, I would put all my money on the fact that he probably is here next year.
Wait, he could have.
But I don't think it's nothing. What? Did I cut out?
No, you didn't. I want to make sure I'm understanding what you said. He could have what, and he didn't?
He could have put the fire out, and he didn't.
Put what fire out?
The fire that was a million retweets and comments and everyone talking about what we're doing right now.
I don't think the reaction was all on your side, though. I saw, because I went back and looked when you sent me the tweet, and I wanted to make sure, because I wasn't at Friday's game, so I wasn't in the locker room like I typically would have been, and I just wanted to make sure, like, what people think between you and my point of view. And I saw it was a split. I'm not saying it was all me either, but there were a ton of people who were like, love that Kobe mentality to stay loyal to the hometown fans. He's always been there for Phoenix. Not even a flicker of an idea that he was being subliminal in some kind of way. There were people, like you're asking me, can you not even see where I'm coming from? There were people who straight up did not even see the thing that you're telling me that he was doing there. They just thought, that's such a class act. Good on him for doing that. Even Suns fans I saw, like people I know on Twitter who aren't just random, egg avatars or whatever.
In my opinion, everything is something, but not something is everything. And I think that's where we land with Devin Booker. I do think it was something. And I do think acting like it is absolutely
So what if he hadn't gotten a question about that?
You could have worded that differently. You could have literally said, the fans that traveled to Phoenix to watch me play, who may never travel to Phoenix again to watch me play, I was out there for them. I'm not worried about it then. I know he's clearly talking about Phoenix, but he didn't use that adjective or noun. So it's where I'm at with it. I think he could have been more clear. I think he heard what he said. I think he saw everyone. I wasn't there, clearly, but I'm sure 1 or 2 people looked at each other when he said that, and he could have read the room and been like, that's not what I meant. I literally meant those fans, because he doesn't want those problems. I'm just saying, also, he left the door open.
Like, he could have clarified. Nobody in that room is telling us that they think that's what he meant. I wish someone would have asked him. I just feel like you're kind of on an island here, man. Like,
well, I think not on an island. You just said it was 50-50 split. There's no way I'm on an island. No shot. No, I would. No.
I haven't seen. I don't mean on an island like of all of that. I mean like neither me or you were in there. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of going to defer to that. And Gerald and others have come out and said like that wasn't really what it was. You can feel it when guys are doing that.
That's probably true. That's the best argument you've made.
Here's the other thing I would say, because you had mentioned like he could come out and clarify this or something.
Yeah.
He doesn't do that. Never.
It doesn't mean you can't.
I didn't say it means you
clarify
can't.
a comment.
Again, it's Devin Booker, not random person on the internet who we're like wondering about. It's a dude. We know his history. We know what he said on Wednesday. We know how he handles his business. He's not somebody who makes a habit of cleaning up every little misunderstanding in the media. And there have been far worse ones than this, I would say. The other thing is, thinking about it as Book's history and what he does and says, he doesn't do the kind of thing that you're telling me he's doing right now.
That I agree as well.
LeBron does that. There's probably even an Arizona athlete we could come up with who throws little shots like that. I just don't see that he did it. But here's my thing. What do you think is the first bit of news you're looking for on the player side? Because it's going to be a while before Kevin Durant or Bradley Beal can really be moved. To me, it is when and what do we hear as far as the team that KD wants to play for?
You know what I'm actually really looking at? What makes one team so enticing is the Rockets. I will be tuning into the draft lottery. I think that's honestly what I'm waiting for the soonest. If the Rockets end up getting a top 10 pick, which whatever, I guess I would have to see where they would.
Top 10 is likely.
Yeah,
I think
top
the
10 is
Suns
pretty
have
likely.
Like the 9th or 10th odds right now.
Listen, man, I wasn't expecting this team to be so bad. As I said it, I was like, oh wait, they probably will be.
But the thing is, they're either
5 pick
in their slot, behind their slot, or in the top 4. You can't move up 1 or 2 slots in the lottery. So it's either top 4 or you drop, basically.
Well, there you go. Also, I think that system is so stupid and so flawed. Just give the worst teams the pick. But that's either here or there. I'm waiting for that pick to drop. I would like to be. I want to know what it is, because if they do get a top 4 pick, I am advocating all day to trade KD to the Rockets. I'm not so tied to the Suns picks like other people are. Like whatever. Like I don't think the Suns are going to tank. So what does it really matter? But I am tied to that pick because I know exactly what it's going to be. Let's say if it ends up as a top 4 pick and they get the 4th overall, God, that would suck, dude. God, that would suck. Yeah, like it's going to change everything for me. I would rather him just go to the Rockets because then I probably get whatever.
Assuming
Jabari
that
Smith.
pick's available once it jumps, though.
I think it'd be available. I mean,
Yeah,
if it's the number 1 overall pick, you and I are going to have a conversation about something different that I'm not going to talk about. But if it's the 4th, like, yeah, like is one of the twins from Rutgers really going to help you that much next year? Like, I don't think so. So like, I don't know. I think if it was one of those picks, yes, but 1 or 2, that starts to get a little dicey because then players do become available in the offseason that we didn't know were available. So
yeah, history has shown us that the player stuff usually will quiet down throughout April because there's just nothing to be done. But once we get to May, June, obviously, it'll really pick up. I think, though, that's the bomb to drop. But also, what does Mat Ishbia say about Kevin Durant's future and all that kind of stuff? I mean, I don't think it's 100% over. I think it's like a 5% chance or something. What happens between now and May, I guess, could maybe make it go to 0. That could be answered pretty quickly. That'll wrap us up. Hit follow or subscribe if you have not already. We got news upon news coming on this Suns team, even though the season is over. So keep it right here. Enjoy the week, and we will talk to you next time.